because I couldn't offer my unlimited availability like others could, I might have been, I wonder, I don't know if I was, but sometimes you wonder, were you overlooked because you weren't as available as someone else?
People who are trying to open up businesses is create the table. Create the table. When we're hiring each other, everyone show up. Show up that way. I need to communicate with you what my expectations are, because you know what? You don't have the resources that McDonald's and Burger King and all of them have. And it's important for you to show up.
Welcome to This Time Now, where the laughs are loud. From shared traumas to current poca vergüenzas, nothing's off the table.
The show blends humor, healing, and real talk, with a few tears in between. It's safe and judgment-free.
Here you can dream out loud. We're two cousins with a deep bond and even deeper convos, showing up with laughter, real talk,
And the kind of honesty that heals. It's familia, it's safe, and it's real. Come on, pull up a seat and pour yourself a cafecito.
You're hanging with your favorite primos.
Welcome back, primos. I'm Lel.
And I'm Lou. Happy to have y'all back with us. Let's get right into it.
Oye, primo. Both at the same time. What's up, primo? What you been up to?
Not as much as I wanted to.
Okay.
Not as much as I wanted to. I've complained already. I think the last couple of episodes with just building this website, and it's just it's frustrating because it's a learning curve, right? And like, what else am I gonna do? But I wish, I don't know. I wish there was a mentoring program or somebody like, 1-800 phone a friend or something like that. Like, I'm so deep into what I'm doing. Pause. I'm probably the only person that's ever gonna do that. But anyway, I'm so far in that there's no turning back. And the part of the website which I've never known, because of what I'm doing on the website, the FTC has requirements on it. It's not like a pre-built website where they'll take care of everything for you and you can have a generic. Like, because of part of what I'm building, the FTC has requirements, and I had no idea of that. Like, nobody ever talks about stuff like that. And
So you thinking you're just making a random website and then now you figure
yeah, and
out
like
all
I'm gonna be able to be creative because I'm building it from the ground up, and so because of what I'm doing, I have the FTC has requirements. That's a government agency.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, damn, like.
But have you reached out to Flo? Because she does websites too. She did hers. Maybe she can give you some pointers.
She was talking like Shopify and things like that, and
like
so that's why I
generic.
made that reference. It's not like
more generic
Shopify
stuff.
or Wix. They'll take care of that stuff for you and they'll guide you through, because I'm building it from the ground up, and the information that's going to be on the website is like, I'm stuck. I have to get a legal team. I not only have to get a legal team to write the privacy policy, I have to get, what are those people that specialize cybersecurity? I have to get a cybersecurity expert. Yeah, so like, this is the point where I'm stuck. I'm
Wow.
damn, I didn't know it was going to be like this. Granted, I'm building something great, but I'm like, I didn't know I was going to stuck.
Yeah, even when, because I know what you're building, and even when you told it to me, I didn't think it was that deep, like
it
or
is.
everything that you're telling me.
It is, and it's even like, there's 4 different levels that the website is going to grow to, and when I get to the 4th level, I will have spent.
Ooh, wow, geez.
Yeah, so that's what I was faced with this weekend, and I'm like, okay, I realize where I'm at in the stage of building this, and so it is what it is. At the end, we
got to make the sacrifices now.
Right.
They'll pay off in the future. That's
Right.
That's definitely for sure.
Right.
Oh wow, I didn't realize it was that deep.
Yeah.
I know you kept telling me, I'm bumping into this roadblock and this roadblock, but I'm thinking it's like regular roadblocks. I didn't think it was like that intricate.
No, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it.
Whatever you need help with, I got you.
That's
I can't do much. Right?
That's my oh yeah, and what I've been up to.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, I ain't got nothing else. What's up with you?
I actually don't
What you
have
been up
much
to?
going on. Finally, estoy tranquila. I spend the weekend pretty much sleeping. Well, sleeping and painting because I'm painting the house. Oh my God, you don't realize how much porquería you build up over time until you need to either move or paint or you're doing some kind of like big thing like that because and my husband's like, "Oh, do you want this?" I'm like, "Don't even show it to me. Just throw it away because if you show it to me, I'm gonna find a reason why I need it. Don't even show it to me. Like don't even I don't even want to look at it. If you don't think I've used it and you don't think I'm gonna use it, just get rid of it." And I've been doing the same thing with his thing because we're both on the same leg. Like every time I tell him, "Oh, what do you? Oh, just put it there. I'll look through it later. Oh, just put it there. I'll look through it later." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So and I'm doing all of this while getting freaking iron infusions because I've always been anemic, but like I think this particular point in my life is probably the lowest I've been in a while.
Yeah.
I was down to a 7. So
Whoa.
I had to get, if anybody knows, normal range for a woman is between 12 and 15.
I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah,
What's the
between
normal
12 and
range?
15 for a woman
Okay.
is normal. I was down to
Okay.
a 7. Even
Wow.
before my surgery, I was low, and the lowest I was 9.
Is it different for men and women,
I
or it's
think
just like a general?
no, I think for men it's a little bit different, but it's pretty much around
It's the same. Okay.
the same rate. But I think for women it's a little bit. I don't know if it's higher or lower. I don't want to misquote. I just know those are the parameters for the women, and I know they differentiate a little bit, but not by much.
Okay.
So yeah, so this whole time, and then the iron infusion is supposed to give me more energy later on, but right after the treatment you like down. So I'm like trying to do this whole painting. Well, we're not painting. We got somebody to paint, but you have to move stuff around and organize stuff. Or well, just having diffusion. So I've been out,
Yeah.
I was out of it all weekend, but that's it though. I haven't really been doing it. Finally paré la patra un ratito.
Well, no, she's not done. 'Cause you did something. You went somewhere.
Where I went? Oh well,
Yeah.
actually right. So my husband Gandito, he felt bad for me because I was like just out of it. He took me out to dinner. We went out to Clifton in Jersey, and there's this little what's the name of Sedona? I think is the name of the restaurant. Anyway, right in front of it, there's a little placita, and they had live music, live salsa. So, oh my God, but it was hilarious. So, my husband's like, "Come on, we danced a little salsita." I'm so out of shape. I want to blame it on the iron. Literally, I danced for like 2.5 seconds, and I got lightheaded. I was like, I need to sit down.
Oh my God.
But overall, we had a good night, and no venimos para la casa. That's all I've been doing. And
I love the live salsa. Like
Oh my
any
God.
band playing, it doesn't have to be salsa.
You saw I
but
uploaded. You saw how nice it was. Like they were doing the riffs, and that's my thing. I loved it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that was
yeah.
a good surprise because we didn't expect that. He was like, "Come on, I'm gonna take you out to dinner. Let's go."
Yeah.
And we bumped into that. So that was a nice little, surprise for us to bump into. But other than that, nah.
But,
Guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Guys, also, the mugs are available. The mugs are available. Link is in the bio. Link is in the bio of the video. Check it out.
Thing that's incredibly limiting for me and frustrating is when I'm the only person of color or the only woman on stage, and that happens quite a lot for women and for people of color, and I wait for my turn to be asked a question about my craft, and I'm asked the political question. What do you think we need to do to make films more inclusive? I'm sorry, you don't ask the only person that comes from a marginalized community. You ask the other 80 of them that are a part of the gatekeepers, and you ask them if they know the answer. We're making people of color and communities of color work double to be in a room. I think that the people that are entitled to be in the room based on their race and gender should be the ones to answer these hard questions, because you're the ones that are knowing what is keeping us and the rest of us from being in those rooms based on our skills and our abilities.
Really good
That was deep.
clip. Yeah, it was really deep. And so obviously it was a take on what's happening in Hollywood. We're not in Hollywood, so we had to sort of normalize the conversation. But do you have an experience where you were the only in the room and decisions had to be made, instead of pulling off of your experience, they wanted to know based on your race or gender?
So for me, honestly, I feel like I was never really othered either for being Hispanic or being a mom. I felt more of it for being a working mom, right? So I felt like I have over 25 years of experience in my field. I'm very qualified. I always gave my very best at work, but because I wasn't able to give because I couldn't offer my unlimited availability like others could, I might have been, I wonder, I don't know if I was, but sometimes you wonder, were you overlooked because you weren't as available as someone else? Even though when you're at work, you're giving them your best, you're giving them your all, you're more than, qualified, and, you're giving them more than others. But because you couldn't give them, coming in, staying later randomly, last minute, can you come in, because you have other responsibilities. I feel like sometimes they look at you differently, even though when you're there, you probably give the most of everyone else. But because you can't give that extra, it's like that unwritten rule. So that's, for me, that's where I felt othered. It was really just the difference of being one of the few. There were other working moms, but just, normally I was one of a few. And, that's the what I felt, and I felt for most of my career.
So
What
leaning
about-
more towards the gender.
So not just the gender, because there was other females that maybe didn't have the responsibilities outside the home. Because I had the kids. I had later on I had a very sick mother that I had to be available for. So I couldn't come in on a random Saturday if somebody called out. I couldn't stay for the extra shift. If somebody if they needed somebody to come in, and then you have that person that probably doesn't do as much as me at work, but because they're available more than I could be
Right.
available, they got preferences. So I don't know if other working moms and in careers have felt that way, but that's just something I felt. Like there's times that you feel like,
Yeah, I've always wondered about that because like I've ran an office with a bunch of employees, and women are always the ones to, if something's happening with the kids, they're the first ones to run out.
right.
And so I'm like, why is that? You know what I'm saying? For like whatever instinctive reason, again, I don't have kids, and I never like, if an emergency happened, I would never make an employee feel like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, like, what are you doing? Like, go. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? An emergency is happening. But I always, like, in the back of my head, I'm like, why is it that women are always the first ones to, like, something's happening, they're running, right? They make themselves
I don't know
available.
if it's always, but I think it is more prominent than the guys stepping up. Like in my field, it's a very it's a 24-hour field, so you can have, at least most of the guys, I've been in this field for 25 years, and most of the men that I know, they have 2 and 3 jobs. They got the weekend job, they got the evening jobs, and the majority of us working moms, we had that one job, and our other jobs were going home, taking care of the kids, taking care of the I don't know. For me, it was a choice. Obviously, I wanted to be, because I mentioned in the last episode, like for most of us working moms, we always we wish we had more time at home, and then if we're home, I'm pretty sure you wish you had more time outside. So I tried my best to divide my time as much as I could. I didn't want my children to lack, and my husband definitely stepped in and helped out, and he was very present. If I couldn't make it to a school trip, he would take the day off. We always have this story that we bring up recently, especially with my granddaughter. She recently went on a trip. I forgot what grade my daughter was in, and my husband ended up taking the day off to go on a school trip with them to the zoo. Anybody that knows my husband, the zoo is his thing, him and my son. So, he's telling my daughter, like, oh, I'm about to take over this whole trip, da-da-da-da-da. He got the whole thing mapped out. So, of course, my daughter at the age, she was young. I don't know how she goes. She tells her teacher, oh, my daddy said he was going to take over this trip. And my husband was, like, so embarrassed because he was like, oh, my gosh, she put me on the spot. But an hour into the trip, the teacher was like, where should we go next, mister, so that we can, maximize our time. So he actually ended up kind of taking over the trip.
Okay.
So, he definitely, stepped in. It wasn't like he didn't. But just as a mom, I think we always feel like that pressure that we want to be there. We don't want our kids to lack at least it was for me. So, that was just my experience. I always found that it was like, am I being overlooked because I'm not giving the extra time, even though when I'm here I'm busting my behind and I'm giving it all. I'm running circles around everyone else.
Right.
But because I can't stay 2 hours later, or I can't come in whenever you want to, I'm looked at like, maybe I'm not as available. I don't know. I don't know what the
yeah. I think we got it. Yeah.
So what about you? Have you ever been othered or the only in a room?
So I've been fortunate enough to work for some amazing companies that, really follow like the law with sex, gender, like, and I always advance to, positions to
Right.
like, management positions because that's just my experience. Uh, so I've never personally experienced it, but I know one particular company that allegedly has hired someone, an African American woman, just to fill the gap for DEI.
Oh, so just to fill the quota, basically.
Just so that when a DEI conversation is happening, we have somebody black in place.
Sort of like the, oh, I have a black friend
Yeah.
comment. That's
Yeah, I've
interesting.
seen that.
Wow.
I've seen that. And then they don't allow that person who is an amazing person, who is a great, cheerleader for people. We just need you to, without saying it, we just need you to be black.
And be
Right? And
quiet.
we'll take care of the
Oh,
conversation.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that must be
Yeah.
hard. That must be
Extremely,
hard to deal
extremely
with,
hard. Yeah.
knowing that you're
So,
being stifled that way, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So,
crazy.
again, allegedly. So, because it
Right.
wasn't,
Right,
my
it's just,
experience,
but it's
but
their experience, as
yeah.
you've heard it
Yeah.
firsthand. So, and I'm sure there's plenty of stories like that out there. I think workplaces sometimes confuse availability with ambition and competence.
So that's a really good question. So a good workplace shouldn't confuse those three things. If they have a great development program, they shouldn't. So, we're talking about availability, how accessible are you, ambition, where do you want to go, and competence, can you do the job effectively, right? And so, if there's employee A and employee B, and employee A is can do all of her work within the hours given, what is employee B doing beyond the hours, right? So you may want to, and I don't want to make it sound like sneaky, but befriend this person, because if employee A wants to advance in a career, then they need to find out what is employee B doing, right? Is he doing management work, something that's, because if I'm taking something off the plate of a manager, I'm already in that manager's favor. So it doesn't matter how much work you can do in 8 hours if you're creating that work-life balance. So now you need to find out, what is this employee doing, right? And then take note of that, because if this employee is doing his own work that he can't complete in 8 hours, right? And he needs those extra hours, now you can use that against, right? Because I mean, if you're competing with this person, employee B, for a position, well, I get to do my work in 8 hours, right? So you'll note that. So now it's your job to engage management and say, what can I do to advance? Or what's a responsibility that I can learn that I'm not sure goes for the next level, right? Am I explaining that right? So that's it. But if a good company doesn't have a great development program, then it's either time to look at another company that has that in place, especially if your ambition is to grow within an organization. And I have experience in that. I had the opportunity. Again, I'm going to go back to, I worked for a great company that allowed me. I started at the bottom. I worked my way up to management, and then the turn in that company was about every 6 to 7 months. And along with the training department, they gave us your freedom to create a development program. And we went from every 7 months to people not quitting after 3 years, but being advanced to management. So the company invested in that, and it didn't cost the company anything to do that. So that was really dope. So I hope I left a couple of gems in there, that you want to just sit back and evaluate. Like, if I'm being overlooked, engage. Don't wait till your annual evaluation to find out what is it that they're evaluating you on, right? And then find your time and
But
engage
I
your
wonder
management.
if that was possible for you because you were able to give the extra time as a single man. You were able, if they needed someone to stay an extra hour, 2 hours, you were able to do that, even if
Right.
another employee, excellent ratings, perfect everything else, right? But they couldn't give the extra time. You don't think
I
that
no, I
you didn't
I
encounter?
clocked in and at the time when I was clocking in and clocking out, I did that, and when I became salary, they gave me the freedom and autonomy to do what I needed to do to help the department. They recognized it. They gave me the support. I'm just one of those leaders that I support the people coming under me, so I'll delegate. And while they're learning to do managerial roles, I'm able to do all the other tasks. Because I literally had, I'm going to say about 50 people in the office, or it was 40 people in the office, and I believe there was 8 people remote that I was managing at the time. And so we had a lot going on, but I did it from 8 to 4:30, 8 to 5, 8:30 to 5, 8:30 to 5. That
And
was
did
my
you see a
schedule.
lot of like mothers advancing along with you? Because it sounds like you
Yeah.
were a great manager. Not
Yeah.
everybody's fortunate to work with those kind of people. It sounds like
Yeah.
you were doing a great job.
Yeah, because
You were able to see mothers advance, even though they're not giving extra amount
oh,
of
that
time.
that was one thing, and I think we spoke about this in previous episodes. I even hired people who weren't like technically advanced, but that position required a lot of compassion because of the type of patients that we were dealing with. And so even if they were low performers, I'm like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take excellent people. You're gonna work with them, get them up to where they need to be, and then if it's like a real issue that like management needs to be involved, then if the people I'm training under me can't really handle it, then I know how to work with these people. I know how to get them. So I would invest that in my team because we would compete against different boroughs, and I was in the city, so mine was the largest office, and I'm very competitive. So I'm like, all right, we got to get you up. For me, what worked and what helped the employees were we're competing against everybody else. They can't be better than us. Come on, it's me. Like, you're on this team. Let's go. Like, let's make it happen, right? Like, what do you need to be successful in this role? That's just the way that I approach it. Not everybody has that leadership style,
Right. That
but
sounds amazing.
I need it. I can't lose. I can't
Right.
lose. Like that's just my
But
style.
it's not only you're competing, you are also giving your staff the resources
Right.
and not limiting anyone,
Right.
for
Right. Absolutely.
biases.
Oh,
So I
never,
love that.
never,
I wish there were more like you
never,
out there.
never. And people be like, "Oh, I'm feeling a little under the go home. Go home. Like this work is gonna continue. Like don't ever feel like you got to come up with like some dramatic. Cause you don't feel well. Go,
Yeah.
go. So yeah.
I love
But what
that.
about you?
I think it gets confused. In my experience, I've seen not only in my particular experience, but also, over my 25 years, working in the field, I have seen it often that, you'll have the slack. Sometimes, a lot of the times it's the slacker. They're slacking all day long, but because they can stay 2 and 3 hours, visually it looks like they're more committed and more, you know, competent than you are, and it's quite the contrary. You're doing you're doing 90% of the work in your little bit of time that you're there, and they're taking credit for, for just because of the look, the aesthetics, that it looks like they're more committed than you are. So unfortunately, that's been I've seen that a lot going on. I also worked with a great manager. You remember my manager for years. He was amazing. He allowed me to have my work life balance with being a mother and a career woman. I don't think I would have been able to do it so flawlessly without that man as my manager. I get choked up thinking about him because he passed away a few years ago. I worked with him for over 15 years, and I to this day, every time I think of him, I remember, all the things that he allowed me to be able to do. And in return, I gave him so much. So I did so much for him. We helped each other out. And I wish there were more people like him and, more people like you out in, that us working moms, could encounter in our careers, because it's not easy. Sometimes you don't always land in a place where you're appreciated for what you do give when you're there, because like I said, when you're there, you're giving it your all. My experience, I'm overqualified in my field. That I have licenses in a few modalities. Anybody knows radiology, so I'm thankful that that he was placed in my career path, because like I said, I don't know if I would have been able to balance both roles so flawlessly the way I did, because I had someone so supportive, in my corner. So
I'm gonna piggyback on that. It sounded like for me and what I was just talking about, I had a great manager.
Yeah.
I had a great leader above me who, true, I felt for the first time, well, not the first time, but for like at that point in my career, that she would sit down and like talk to me and like understood me and really coached me up rather than, here's all the work that you need. Like, and I remember, shout out to Joe. I remember her telling me, the one thing I admire about you is your ability to delegate, right? And my follow up game is, and I never even thought about it. Like I delegate really well, and that's because I want people to be successful,
Yeah.
right?
That's so important. I don't know. Like I don't know. You've been in the manager position, and I wish managers out there would realize that if you pour into your workers, you would get so much more out of them than if you don't. Because I think I gave him more than I had to. Someone else would have been like, "That's not in my, that's not in my job title." I would give that man anything that he needed me to do at that job. It didn't matter what it was. You need me to go here, you need me to go there. While I was there, I would do it all because he returned that. You know what I'm saying? So we were able to work together, and you sound like you also had a lot of that in your life, and it helped you. Like you said, you worked from your way from the bottom all the way to the top because you had, somebody that fed in, that poured into you.
Yes.
So I think that's, if there's any managers out there listening, that's something to think about.
Okay. What can we do in our current industry to ensure that those type of questions with those intentions are not happening?
I think that is where Zoe's point comes into. Like, I don't think it shouldn't fall on the person being affected to come up with a solution, right? So it should be up to leadership to use their expertise to navigate these situations and to, like I said, pour in to figure out what are the strengths of your employees, what are not on who can give you the most time, but who's really competent. Really get to know your employees, really get to know, what are their strengths, and because your strengths might be different from someone else's strengths. So you play on those, and rather than making it their lack because they can't give you X amount of time, why don't you see how much you can get out of them in the time that you have them? And you'd be surprised. You'll be surprised that if you concentrate on that as a leader, you'll be able to, like, como se dice, like, get more out of people than they should. It should never be on the person that is feeling, I wouldn't want to say victimized because it's not a victimization, but the person that is affected shouldn't be entitled. I think that was her point, that the person being affected by something shouldn't be the one responsible in figuring out the solution for it, right?
Right.
And they have to stop confusing availability with ability. I think that's a big one.
Okay.
What about you?
So I feel like some companies are never going to change.
Yeah.
Right? They've been that long in business that they're never going to change. So if you love a company that much and you really see a future in it, because not everybody's meant to be a boss, and like that's, I think the trend is like, be your own boss, and like there has to be workers until AI comes and takes over everything. And that's another conversation. But if you really love a company and you see yourself like investing your formative years in there, then climb to the top. Start being a part of that table. The way I was able to make change, and I don't think I was going for change in, like when I said, okay, I really like this job. There's something missing. Why is it that nobody else is seeing that it's great, right? And it wasn't that leadership was horrible. It's just leadership had another focus. And I'm like, well, there's people here, right? And so I say all of that to say is that get to the table where you can be the voice for everybody else working, where you can be a part of that change, right? So that's my advice is, go up the ladder.
Yeah, but like you said, that's not everybody's goal in life is to be at the management. I've trained so many people over the years. Like I've trained them straight out of school that eventually, either became my superior or advanced. And that wasn't what I was necessarily interested in. Or I think you're right. I think because I was sometimes looked at like, oh, because you can't give the extra time, you kind of take on that identity like, oh yeah, this is, they're not gonna give it to me because I can't give them the time that they can give. So maybe those out there that are interested in that should make themselves known, like, no, just because I can't give you extra time doesn't mean I'm not qualified. So you probably should voice your opinion a little bit more. And if that's not the place that's gonna allow you to do that, then you can always move on to somewhere else
Right,
if that's
and
what you need to do.
even going
So
back
you're
to
right
the
in that aspect.
even going back to the first part, where you start engaging your manager or your supervisor from the beginning before the evaluations happen. Say, hey, I'm interested in this, right? I'm interested in this role and what it entails. I can get my work done. Maybe there's a skill I need to learn, and now it's in the seed of the manager to know, oh shoot, next year this person is probably going to want to elevate, or when this role comes up, because ultimately I always viewed it as you have to make your boss's job a little bit easier. So if you take one thing off of their plate, like that's trying to grow. You know what I'm saying? And then your manager can work with you on, okay, now I have a little bit of freedom to work with that. Here's where I'm challenged with trying to complete this task. Oh, well, I was already doing that, so let me show you how to work that. And then you can use that on your annual review. Don't give up as though, oh, I'm not as available, so they're going to overlook me, and you're holding that in like, oh, this person is staying and I'm doing more of the work. Right. You know what I'm saying?
I got all these great reviews. I got these excellent reviews all around.
Yeah,
but then
engage
it's
your
like
manager, make it
you're
known.
being overlooked, but
known.
you're also not requesting
Listen,
it. Yeah, that makes sense.
I always say this. The employees at Tesla are closer to Elon Musk than I am. The employees at Pepsi are they'll have email access to the PepsiCo CEO more than I do. I have more access to the CEO of my company than you do, and you know what I'm saying? Right. So that's how I look at it. Like, you have proximity to people within your organization, to leaders. Reach out. Interesting. Right? Reach out. Come on, you can see who the leaders are. Start being a bug in somebody's ear.
That doesn't always work.
It doesn't. But
then if you really want to go that way and if you see it's not available, then move on.
Right. Yeah, awesome.
I love that.
If you knew that nobody was coming to make the workplace more accessible for you to grow, what would you start doing differently today to make sure you still had a seat at the table?
I don't know. I think maybe I was very complacent at the time that I was going through it because I was, I like the balance that I had between being able to be home as much as I was at work. So I probably didn't put as much effort. So I don't know if I would have done anything different, me personally, even though I say that, I might have felt sometimes overlooked, but at the same time, I was never really actively, looking for it now that now that I think about it. So I don't know. And I don't know that I would do anything different because I love the balance that I had. Maybe I could have still had the balance and done more. I don't know that though. So, I don't want to just think about that. So I don't know. Now, moving forward, I'm a little older and I'm at a new place. I don't know what I would do. I think I would probably start what I did. I think one thing that I did do once I was getting, I wouldn't say bored in a modality, but I did seek out other certifications. So I have about 3 different certifications,
Post
the original, which is X-ray. So I started X-ray, which is my base. Then I got a certification in mammography. I did that for a lot of years. Because I was helping out the boss that I told you was great and always helped me out doing CT, I decided I might as well get that certification too. So I got that. And fast forward, a few years later, mammography was getting difficult because of my shoulders and my RA. excuse me, that I ended up making the switch over to CT, which is what I do now. So I guess that's a way of mobility and moving forward. That it, not necessarily management, but you know, you have different avenues sideways. Kind of the pay scale is better, so that helps. So yeah, even though I never pursued like higher in terms of management, I did pursue other avenues in terms of different avenues in my own genre, my own field of radiology.
So sometimes lateral is okay too.
Right, especially if lateral means more money.
More money. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So that was the thing.
I think for me is like, and this is gonna go for my entrepreneurs and people who are trying to open up businesses, is create the table. Create the table,
Yeah.
but also for people who are, let's say you are a vendor, right? And so that makes you a entrepreneur as well. When we're hiring each other, everyone show up, right? And communicate your expectations. So if I know that you are a new vendor, right? And I'm giving you an opportunity, just because I see somebody, of another race or who may have other resources show up that way, I need to communicate with you what my expectations are, because you know what? You don't have the resources that McDonald's and Burger King and all of them have. Okay. And it's important for you to show up, right?
Okay.
What are your expectations? If I don't say what my expectations are, hey, what are your expectations? How do you want this to be executed?
How can they meet them if you don't voice them?
Right. So that's super important. Yeah.
With me, have you ever watched someone get the opportunity you knew you deserved, and how did you handle it?
No, I've always gotten the opportunity. I've always been hyper focused, and if I want something, there's nobody in my way. If I didn't get it, it was because there's something I didn't qualify for. It wasn't because somebody else was better at it, or like I truly. And I'm not like a hater. If somebody genuinely got something, I'm proud of them. I celebrate with them. All of the advice I gave earlier with engaging your managers and your supervisors, that's always been a part of my repertoire. Like, I'm actively engaging, because you know what it is for me is that I don't like too many people on top of me. I don't like too many managers. So my aim and my goal is always, how can we eliminate all of these people giving me direction, and I just need one, a manager and a director. Outside of that, I get claustrophobic with things like that. Like, no. Too many people giving me too many different directions. I don't do well with that. So it's always been, let's go. If I need to knock people out, like if there's people elevating, I'm gonna go for a position. I'm not afraid of that. And I've always felt like I'm a great leader. I'm not the best. There's areas of opportunity, but I'm a pretty dope manager. You have to ask them, but I believe so.
That's interesting. I've been in situations that I'll have a manager like, hi, mommy. And I'm just thinking, like, baby, you like, oh my God, like, is this really who's my supervisor right now? Like, and I feel bad sometimes, because I'm like, okay, they don't have 20 plus years, and, they've worked their way up, and they decided to climb these ladders that I probably either didn't want to or were, but then I'm like, Jesus, like, is this really who's in charge of me? Like, is this really who I'm like, I don't know, but I don't let hate fester or anything like that. It's not like I'll be like, oh, I have hate in my heart, but I just those thoughts be like, are you kidding me right now? Like, are you kidding me right now? Really?
Yeah. No. So if
like,
that's
so
what,
you had experienced that.
Well, if they brought in a manager that, like, we just felt like was not, I would actually feel bad, because people, like, staff, like well-established staff, is like, they'll make it known, like they'll make that person feel bad for having that position. I've never been like that. If I see an area of opportunity, but what you're not about to do, what you're not about to do is the only person who's going to treat you right and, like, help you out. You're not about to treat me like shit. Like, you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that. Were you with me the time when they brought X from Queens, manager from Queens, and we just clashed? And,
Oh, the girl.
yeah,
I
we
remember.
clashed, and I was like, oh, hold on, you don't know what I'm capable of, and I sent the email. I don't know if you remember. They pulled her out of the office.
Really? I just experienced that sometimes they get intimidated when they know you're more knowledgeable than them, and that becomes a little uncomfortable because, girl, I don't want it. I could have gotten it if I wanted. I don't want it, but because they feel lacking, sometimes they kind of.
We actually became friends years later. Well, I say, like work
friends.
Yeah. But it was, I think the issue is that she wasn't as aware, and the type of patients that we were dealing with in the area that we were dealing with, you have to be like hyper aware
and firm.
And you can't like not know what they're talking about because they'll run us over, and it's like no, we're running this here. Like, it was just that type of environment, so where she didn't fit very well, but I was willing to help her, but she like didn't like the way, so that's where the clash. That's where I'm like,
they feel like they know more than you sometimes.
Like, and anybody who works
she was in it for a while longer than you, so that's it. In your case it was the flip. Because she was more experienced, she probably felt like,
and I wasn't looking for management. But I'm like, you're coming into this environment, like, these are patients that will literally spit on you,
right?
If you don't take control of the situation, and we're stuck here, like, you gotta make decisions quick on your feet, and so, like, either accept my help or they're gonna run us over.
So that's interesting that I experienced it on the opposite, like. They feel intimidated by me even though I'm not interested, and then in your case it was similar, like she was intimidated by you because she probably felt you didn't have as much experience as she did.
But no, this is about handling the patients, and like we gotta wrap this up. Whatever you got going on and you can't figure out, we gotta wrap this up because we're in like a rough neighborhood, so we're catering to that part of the city.
That's interesting. So, I love those. We had good takes on this. I really like that.
Do you hold on? Do you have any closing notes?
Nope.
Oh my god. Let me see. All right. So, at the end of the day, my closing notes are: at the end of the day, your worth in the workplace shouldn't be measured by how available you are, what you look like, or how much you're willing to sacrifice. It should be measured by the value, competence, and intention you bring to the table. Know what your organization is actually evaluating, understand your value, and keep developing yourself. Even when life requires you to take a different path, you may not be able to change every workplace, but you can position yourself to have choices. And on that note, we love you so much, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.